Tonight, the latest on the Augusta fire that destroyed the historic Bunkhouse Inn. Plus, one county in Montana is expected to announce new COVID-19 restrictions following a surge in cases.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Thanks for spending your Sunday night with us. I'm Matt Holzaffel. Sally Jane Demare Smith was found dead this afternoon, according to the Cascade County Sheriff's Office. She had last been seen on September 25th. Around 2:30 p.m., her body was located inside her 2005 Toyota Corolla in a storage unit at 3033 Malmstrom Drive in Cascade County. Sheriff Jesse Slaughter said an autopsy is scheduled for Tuesday in Missoula and that he will personally provide an update after reviewing the autopsy. At this time, we still don't know the cause or manner of the death. The Sheriff's Office released no further information as of this evening. We're learning more about the fire that destroyed the historic Bunkhouse Inn in Augusta this weekend. As the community is saying, it was a sad day. MTN's Alexia Guayo has the latest on the damage.
The Bunkhouse Inn was built in 1912 and stood in Augusta as a historic experience of true Old West accommodations. Then on Saturday afternoon at around 1:30, a young girl came into the Buckhorn Bar saying there was a fire through the windows of the Bunkhouse Inn. The Augusta Volunteer Fire Chief was already in the bar.
There was other people outside, and I told them to call 911. And so I headed for the fire hall and had met other folks, other department members up there, and then rolled back down here.
They rolled back to a burning building that scattered to the ground Saturday night at around 9 p.m. The chief says they continued hosing water until about 1 in the morning Sunday. No one is reportedly injured except one firefighter who suffered a minor eye injury. The Bunkhouse Inn owner felt sad to see history in flames.
This is such a landmark for this community, and for us, that's kind of what this was all about. And so, you know, that when we saw the damage happening, that was my first thought is, you know, we're just erasing history. It's just, that was the sad part, you know.
Matt is also grateful to the Augusta community for their support in the situation. Local businesses offered food and water to the firefighters, while community members were offering their own guest bedrooms for those who were staying in the Bunkhouse Inn.
You know, you just can't ask for more people to be so generous and wanting to help each other than around here. It's just awesome. And it's sad that it happened, but if it's going to happen in a place, I think this is probably the best place to help each other.
A donation page has not been set up yet as of Sunday afternoon, but the Augusta Chamber of Commerce expect to have fundraising events to help support the rebuild. In Augusta, I'm Alexi Guayo, MTN News.
And one update, there is a GoFundMe set up now. You can find that on our website. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. No nearby structures were damaged, and the owner says the memories still remain alive of the Bunkhouse Inn. They're asking for everyone to share those memories on their Facebook page. Well, we saw 585 new COVID-19 cases in Montana today. According to the governor's coronavirus task force, here's a look at those numbers. As you can see, the state approaching 20,000 confirmed cases. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Montana would become the 43rd state to surpass that mark. Lewis and Clark County reports 213 active cases, 463 total. Cascade County is showing 596 active cases and 1,038 total. In less than 24 hours, we could see new COVID-19 restrictions in the county with the most COVID-19 cases in the state. Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton is expected to announce new restrictions on group gatherings tomorrow to try and curb the spread of COVID-19 across the county. Restrictions are expected to include a reduction in capacity from 75% to 50% at restaurants and bars, casinos, and distilleries. Earlier in the week, Felton said capacity would be reduced to 25% at those businesses before walking that number back. MTN's Mitch Laggy tells us why.
Uncertainty is ahead for area businesses as Yellowstone County set new record high numbers of COVID-19 cases last week. At the same time, the Yellowstone County Health Officer walked back a restriction of 25% capacity and upped it to 50% capacity after hearing from local business owners.
In working with our local restaurants, it's become clear that is not, even in a short term, that is not a sustainable level. And please understand, nobody wants our businesses to go out of business. Nobody wants to put these restrictions in. But if we can't slow down the spread of disease, then our entire community is extreme risk.
On Friday, county COVID-19 cases exceeded the threshold of 50 new cases per 100,000 population. In a press release over the weekend, Riverstone Health said Felton will announce new restrictions on Monday. Felton mentioned some restrictions include bars, restaurants, and casinos will be limited to 50% capacity. As well, private and public gatherings will be limited to 25 people with physical distancing and mask requirements. Places of worship will also be limited at 25% capacity. Exceptions to the group size limits will be made for cafeteria settings on college campuses and nursing homes, along with daycare facilities. While area business owners feel the strain of restrictions, area hospitals are also feeling the strain of higher case counts. Billings Clinic CEO Scott Elner said space concerns prompted the hospitals to shift some COVID-19 patients to St. John's United.
If we continue at this pace, we're expecting in the next 2 to 4 weeks, 150 to 200 more hospitalizations. This is our reality. Billings Clinic, and I know our partner SCL St. Vincent's, we're not going to shut down, but the reality is we're stretched.
According to the Billings Chamber of Commerce, area businesses will have some time to adjust to the new restrictions before their implementation. In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
And MTN will be at Riverstone Health in Billings tomorrow at 2 p.m. to bring you the latest from the Yellowstone County Health Officer. When I walked outside a few hours ago, dare I say it was almost cold. Our meteorologist Grant Garland is here to tell us more on that. Hey, Grant.
Hey, Matt. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yes, it is definitely cooler outside than what we've seen over the past week. Let's go ahead and take a look at those current temperatures. Right now in the 40s for some and 30s for others. 39 in Lewistown, 39 in Jordan, 44 for Havre, and the upper 40s for Helena at 47 degrees. And let's add the winds in. So we're looking at 15-mile-per-hour winds in both the Electric City as well as Havre, 23 in Cut Bank. So let's combine both the temperatures and the wind, and it really feels like it is 39 degrees in Great Falls, 36 in Cut Bank. Head on out to Lewistown, 31 degrees. That's what it feels like. So very, very cold out there. And guess what? We are also picking up a few light snow flurries at the in elevations of 5,000 feet or higher, and that's expected, as we are also looking at a winter weather advisory that's in effect now until tomorrow at noon. And again, that's for elevations of 5,000 feet or higher, where we could be looking at 1 to 3 inches of snow and also winds up to 35 miles an hour. Tonight, temperatures falling down to 40 degrees in both Great Falls and Helena. Now, rain chances will be vamping up as we start the work week, but we'll talk about that later. Matt, back to you.
All right, thanks, Grant. Well, a crowd gathered at Kiwanis Park in Missoula this afternoon for an event featuring Governor Bullock and State Senator Bryce Bennett. That was just one stop on Governor Bullock's campaigning efforts through western Montana this weekend. Bullock, the two-term governor of Montana, will face Republican incumbent Senator Steve Daines in the upcoming November election. Bryce Bennett, the Democratic nominee for Secretary of State, is battling Republican nominee Christy Jacobson. The event garnered nearly 100 spectators, all masked up, of course. And with the election only 23 days away, Governor Bullock encouraged those in the crowd to vote early and remind their friends and family to do the same. In his pitch for Senate, Bullock said the best thing an undecided voter can do before casting their vote is to look at his track record. With pandemic protocols and precautions, experts estimate a record-breaking number of mail-in votes this election cycle. But with the president calling into question the safety and security of the system, our Usher Qureshi seeks out the facts when it comes to getting your ballot counted accurately.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Like many other segments of American agriculture, 2020 has been very challenging for farmers who raise pulse crops like chickpeas, lentils, and peas. But as the Montana Ag Network's Russell Nemeth shares, there is some help available.
From market disruptions because of trade wars to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, it's been a challenging year for the U.S. pulse industry. And that's why pulse growers like Paul Canning of Flaxville, who's also a member of the Montana Pulse Crop Committee, are encouraging other growers to visit their local farm service agency and learn more about financial assistance that's available through the second Coronavirus Food Assistance Program.
Producers need to be aware when they're going in to file their paperwork and do their application, whether they're doing it for beef or wheat or canola or alfalfa, to also make sure that they're including their pulse information so that they get the opportunity to get those funds for their pulse crops.
He says the difference between pulse crops and other commodities is that funding is based on 2019 revenue.
Wheat, canola, livestock, you're basically reporting based upon acres or number of livestock that you have. Pulses are different. It's based upon your revenue from your sales last year. And of course, FSA does not have access to that information. That's something that you have to self-report. So make sure you dig through all your paperwork and look at your sales from last year and report that number. There's a graduated scale from 10.6 down to 8.8% that you'll get back based upon those sales that you had last year.
And Paul says that pulse growers can apply for CFAP 2 through December 11th.
Absolutely. And tell your neighbors, because we all kind of get in a routine and assume that the way it was last round is the same way it's going to be this time. And that's not true in this case. So absolutely take advantage of it, use it, and tell your neighbors to do the same thing so that your neighbors get to take advantage also.
In Billings, Russell Nimitz, MTN News.
In 2016, some 33 million ballots were cast by mail. That's 1/4 of all votes cast. With pandemic protocols and precautions, experts estimate a record-breaking number of mail-in votes this election cycle. But with President Trump calling into question the safety and security of the system, our Usher Qureshi sought out the facts when it comes to getting ballots counted accurately.
In case you were wondering, voting by mail has been in place for more than 150 years, since the Civil War.
It's become so common in the United States that since 2010, about 1/4 of the electorate has voted by mail in federal elections.
Some states have what's known as a universal vote by mail system, which means they mail ballots to all their voters. But in most states, voters must request an absentee ballot.
Most of them have made exceptions for 2020 because of COVID. And so what we have left is only a handful of states where you need an excuse to vote by mail.
According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, normally 34 states and Washington, D.C. allow no excuse absentee mailed ballot voting. 5 automatically mail ballots to all their voters, and specifically for 2020, at least 4 more have done the same. But what about fraud?
The mail ballots are corrupt, in my opinion. And they collect them, and they get people to go in and sign them, and then they're forgeries in many cases. It's a horrible thing.
Experts say not so. While there have been a few examples of fraud committed in mail voting, in modern history, studies indicate it's not common at all.
Exceptionally rare. The chances of somebody committing fraud in mail voting is about the same as somebody getting struck by lightning.
What is more common? Rejection. According to the Brennan Center, during the midterm elections nationwide, more than 430,000 mailed ballots were rejected due to delays, minor defects, and voter errors. In some states, rejected ballots affected minorities at higher rates than white voters.
Do it early so you can avoid the kind of last-minute complications that sometimes we've seen. The number one reason that mail ballots don't count is because people get them in late.
Even with the vote-by-mail expansion, there are still variations in deadlines and rules. Experts say it's important to make sure you follow your state's specific requirements. I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
Well, we are looking at a wind chill for tomorrow morning's bus stop forecasting in Electric City, 35 degrees. That's what it's going to feel like. Also, we're looking at wind chills for those in Helena. We're going to see temperatures right around the lower 30s as well. Don't go away. We'll be back after this break.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a fantastic weekend. I know I have. Hopefully you have, especially with the cooler temperatures. I mean, today's highs, we got up to only 57 degrees in Great Falls. The average is right around 60 degrees, 55 down towards the capital, 48 in Butte. Heading out east, though, well, we're looking at really warmer temperatures, 70 degrees in Miles City, 64 in Jordan, and 66 in Glasgow. So in Helena, we typically see 61 degree temperatures for the average for this time of year. The record was set back in 1995 at 83 degrees. That was also when we got to see Val Kilmer take on Batman with Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. That was an interesting movie. Currently 39 degrees in Lewistown, 46 in Great Falls, 47 in Helena. Out towards Jordan, a lot cooler, 39 degrees there. And with these winds, we are seeing 15-mile-per-hour winds in the Electric City, 23 in Cutbank, 15 in Havre. But what did we see really today? Well, we actually looked at tropical storm force winds that are at 39 miles or greater. We saw 44 in Great Falls, Helena, and 45 in Havre, 47 in Cutbank, and 45 in Jordan. So very windy day. We've seen these windy days continue throughout the past few days, and we're going to continue to see that as we head into the next couple of days too. So as far as our winds are concerned, our precip is concerned, we actually did pick up 1/100th of a drop of rain in Havre. So congratulations. Wish I had a trophy to give you because we have not seen rain in a long time. Over the last 3 hours, we have been looking at rain starting to move into the area, but also in higher elevations picking up some snow. And we are expecting 1 to 3 inches possible for those that live at 5,000 feet or higher. Well, 1 to 3 inches possible. Also 35-mile-per-hour winds will be also in the mix. So winter weather advisory until noon tomorrow. And why is this? Well, as the low pressure with warm front continues to push into the area, we'll continue to see that advance of moisture. Then as we go throughout the early to mid-morning hours, low pressure moves in by lunchtime. Start to see winds pick up too. Just get ready for 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds possible. By 6 p.m. though, low pressure skedaddles out of here. We're going to start to see clouds building back in as another front moves in. I feel like DJ Khaled with another one, but we are going to be looking at needing to keep our umbrellas with us. How much rain could we be seeing? Well, in some areas a good bit, in others not so much. Great Falls, it seems like we're like the redheaded stepchild. 4/100ths of an inch of rain here in the Electric City possible. Over 1/10 in Helena. The farther east you go though, the better chance. Almost 4/10 of an inch in Missoula. Over 1/2 an inch possible in Kalispell. Up towards Havre, just shy of 3/10 of an inch of rain. We are expecting a windy day, of course, tomorrow again. 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds in Helena at a given time, and 30 to 40 possibly in Great Falls, as well as Lewistown and up towards Cutbank. Tonight, temperature is falling to 39 degrees in Lewistown, 36 in Hayes, and we're about at that temperature as clouds continue to push in with the moisture. We're not going to be able to see our temperatures really drop down hardly at all. Already 37 in Kalispell and 37 in Missoula. Going throughout the next 3 days, have that umbrella with you. Also, just be aware that we are expecting for it to be windy, and not only for us, but also for our friends in Helena too. We are looking at temperatures dropping down to below freezing on Wednesday, so it will be a cold next week, and we are staying below average for these times for the next 2 weeks. Matt?
Well, President Trump says he is now immune to the coronavirus, even though research indicates it is possible to be reinfected. CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen has the story from New York.
In a Sunday interview, President Trump said he believes he is now immune from the coronavirus.
It looks like I'm immune for, I don't know, maybe a long time or maybe a short time. It could be a lifetime. Nobody really knows, but I'm immune.
It's not yet known how long immunity from the coronavirus might last after a patient is infected. During his treatment for COVID-19, President Trump received an experimental Regeneron Pharmaceuticals antibody cocktail, which he called a cure.
So the president is in very good shape to fight the battles.
On CBS's Face the Nation, Regeneron's president and CEO was asked about President Trump's claims.
So the president's case is a case of one, and that's what we call a case report. And it is evidence of what's happening, but it's kind of the weakest evidence that you can get.
In a memo Saturday, the White House physician said President Trump is no longer considered a transmission risk to others and does not need to self-isolate. But the statement, released after the president held his first public event since leaving the hospital,
first of all, I'm feeling great. I don't know about you.
Did not say if he has received a negative COVID-19 test. And on Sunday, Dr. Anthony Fauci issued a statement in response to the Trump campaign using a clip of an interview with him in an ad. The ad made Fauci appear he was praising the president's coronavirus response. Fauci said, "The comments attributed to me without my permission in the GOP campaign ad were taken out of context from a broad statement I made months ago about the efforts of federal public health officials." Fauci says in his nearly 5 decades of public service, he has never publicly endorsed any political candidate. Tom Hansen, CBS News.
Well, you can find full live coverage of Judge Amy Coney Barrett's Supreme Court confirmation hearing on our streaming apps starting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. If you don't have our app yet, well, you can download it on your Roku, Fire TV, or wherever you get your streaming apps. We'll be right back.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Last November, the Produce Depot opened its doors in downtown Billings, offering fresh, local fruits and vegetables direct from area farms. Then, just as the business was taking off, COVID-19 hit. But the owners kept the business going with innovation and adjustments through the shutdown, and today welcomed customers back in person. MTN's David J. was there.
You want a box or bag?
Customers returned to the Produce Depot for the first time since the start of the stay-at-home shutdown guidelines.
When we first opened, it was kind of crazy. We were having a bunch of people in, we were having lines down the street, and then the COVID situation happened, and so, for the safety of our employees and customers, we decided that we would shut down.
Casey Anderson came up with other ideas for the Produce Depot.
We decided that we would go towards a pre-made bag option where you could either pick it up or have it delivered.
The Produce Depot is reopened, still selling produce, and it has some others that have added to the business.
Coho is going to be just a little less fattier than the sockeye. I'm a former Alaskan fisherman, grew up in Alaska, commercial fish for years, and ran seafood factories throughout Alaska. So us being able to connect directly, to the factories up there, to the fishermen, has been really cool.
We've known Casey at Produce Depot for a while now, and we just really like collaborating with him. He's got great ideas, he's a mover and a shaker, and so we're excited to see what we can do moving forward.
They say their customers have similar demands for food.
Our wild-caught seafood, the Produce Depot, and all the local beef options. I think everyone's kind of conscious about the food they eat.
We have a common customer base of people who want good food in the area.
Everybody working really hard to try to bring, good, healthy, fresh food to the community. So I feel blessed to be a part of what's going on and be surrounded by all these great people.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
And Anderson says the plan for now is to be open from noon to 4 on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Well, don't forget, tonight after the 10 o'clock news, stick around for an extra half hour of sports coverage from our MTN Sports team, MTN Weekend Sports Extra, every Saturday and Sunday at 10, right here on MTN stations. We'll be right back. This month's waiting child is a 14-year-old girl from Great Falls. She loves volleyball, art, and dogs, but more than anything, she'd love a place to call home. MTN's Zach Shermanley introduces us to Nevaeh.
It's like a really big coping skill.
Meet Nevaeh,
Libero or back row.
a force on the volleyball court,
I don't know.
who's a little more shy in front of the cameras. The 14-year-old loves math and art,
I'm not very good at it, but I like it.
a dog person
I don't know, they just are always there for you.
with an infectious smile.
Oh, I like cats, it's just not like my thing.
She's been through a lot in just 14 years.
I've never really had like a good family experience. I've been adopted once and got taken away. But like I said, I've never really had that good of a foster family experience. So I'm hoping for a good one.
She has no preferences about brothers or sisters, being an only child.
You ready? Yep.
But if you're more of a cat person,
We could work on it.
in the meantime,
Keep your head up. Like there's a huge light at the tunnel because I've been in so many placements and been up and down, and you want to be up, definitely not down.
in Great Falls, Zach Shermanley, MTN News.
To hear more about Nevaeh, you can go to our website and search Awaiting Child. We'll be right back with MTN Sports Extra after this.
From MontanaSports.com, this is MTN Sports Extra.
Welcome back to Sports Extra Sunday night. Coming up, we'll share some of the top stories of the week from our MontanaSports.com reporters from across the state. We catch up with Vicky Carl, the Three Forks native, MSU legend, and former Billings Skyview volleyball coach, who tells us what year 14 of Pack the Place in Pink will look like during COVID. We go to Major League Baseball for a chat with Cody Hoey, Chicago White Sox pitcher and Missoula native. Flathead Skyler Thompson is leading the Braves to the playoffs this week as one of the best soccer players in the state. We go to Helena to see a Capitol High senior achieve her dream. And our Sunday conversation takes us north for a chat with hardwood legend Reese Gleco, who's got a new gig. We start tonight with Scott Breen.
Hello everybody, I'm Scott Breen. Skyview's volleyball girls started the operation Pack the Place in Pink night over a decade ago, raising money for head coach Vicky Carl in her battle with breast cancer. The organization has since given away over $500,000 to Montana women dealing with the same. The magnitude of how far this grassroots event has come reveals itself in a couple of Vicky's recent stories.
I was in Albertsons, and there was a woman in front of me who was telling the checker that she had just gone through breast cancer. Of course, the word breast cancer, I'm sorry I was eavesdropping, but I always perk up when I hear that. And so when it was my turn, I got up there and I said, "Do you know that lady?" And she said, "Yeah, she comes in here." I said, "Well," I introduced myself. I said, I need to know who that is." She goes, "Here, Vicki, take this piece of paper." So I sprinted out in the parking lot and I got her name and her address. And I went home and I wrote her a check and sent it to her in the mail.
Or how about this one from the Frontier Cancer Center in Billings?
And there was a couple women in there one day that had the shirts on, and the one, had a bandana on, and I went over to them because I was there for my 6 months check, and I said, "Hey, I like your shirt." And they started to tell me all about Pack the Place in Pink. I said, "Well, yeah, I know a little bit about it." And I introduced myself. We all three cried, and I had my checkbook with me, and I wrote her a check, and I gave her a check right there in the waiting room.
And if you don't happen to run into Vicki at the Cancer Center or at the store, here's how referrals work. Extremely simple by design.
Well, you get online, and there's about 6 or 7 questions you fill in. It comes into our IT, which it goes through a circle, and our nurses check it out. And when they get the okay, they send it back to me, and I write out a letter and a check. It's not real difficult, which is how we want it to be.
Their referral website is packtheplaceinpink.org. Raising money for it. Returns right now. T-shirts are on sale at Albertsons in the Billings Heights for $10. The rest of this year's fundraising is mostly online via their Pack the Place in Pink Facebook page. You'll also find the online auction there. That starts Thursday, and it's loaded with items from creative steel cutouts to gift cards for a steakhouse in Ennis to auction items from as far away as Kalispell. And if you'd like to donate an auction item, that's the spot to do it. Pack the Place in Pink, Facebook.
5 cents out of every dollar goes to expenses. 95 cents out of every dollar goes to a Montana woman. And I don't think you're going to find a charity that is more lean than that.
Here's maybe the coolest twist. Patients are encouraged to spend their checks outside of medical bills.
One of the lines I put in the check is use this money however you see fit. We've had women who have purchased tires, they've purchased eyeglasses. I think one of my favorite heartfelt ones was the woman, she was stage 4, and I don't know, she didn't make it very long, but she used the money, she bought 2 wigs so she could have different hair color. She bought herself a guitar and a puppy. The money is great, but the hope and the love that comes with the letter helps you defeat cancer, because it's a hell of a battle.
Vicki says her oncologist gave her clearance for checkups only once every 12 months. Vicki said, "Nope, I'll be back every 6 just to stay ahead of the game." By the way, we've shared links to how to donate to Pack the Place in Pink Night and also how to find referrals in our story at montanasports.com. For MTN Sports, I'm Scott Breen.
Cody Hoyer grew up right here in Missoula, Montana, specifically in the Lower Miller Creek neighborhood. However, 20-some-odd years later, now he's standing on a Major League Baseball mound. Earlier this month, we caught up with the big leaguer to talk everything MLB and Montana.
Grew up hunting, fishing, doing everything outdoors, playing sports. It was awesome, man. I love living in Montana. I want to go back there someday. I love Missoula. I love everything about it.
Hoyer played baseball in Montana until high school when he moved to Fort Collins, Colorado, then attended a top-notch baseball program in Wichita State for college. In those final years in college, Hoyer knew he had a shot at making the league.
I don't know. I always had it in the back of my head, but when I'd say in college, I really sat down and I said, yeah, I got a good chance at this. Let's do this thing.
And he wasn't wrong. He started his career in the bigs, ironically, over in Great Falls for the Voyagers, before making his way up the ranks to the White Sox roster in 2020.
It's tough. You got to put in a lot of work, and sometimes that means you're not seeing your family as much. You're not, going out doing stuff with your friends as much. Sometimes that takes priority, but that's just part of it. And in the end, it's all worth it.
Hoyer had an incredible start in his first MLB season, and so did the Sox. He finished the regular season going 3-0 as a reliever, with a 1.25 earned run average and 25 strikeouts in just 21 games.
I've grown a lot as a player, as a person, just in this short 60-game season that we've had due to COVID, and it's been awesome. I've been doing things on the mound that I haven't ever done before in my life, and I've grown a lot, and it's been awesome. I don't usually say this, but I'm proud of myself for the stuff I've done, and I'm happy I've been able to be around a lot of dudes on this team in this clubhouse.
Not only did his team establish themselves as a force in the American League moving forward, but Hoyer seems to have proven his worth at the highest level.
To come into that locker room and just kind of mesh in with them, it's been nice, and it's been a cool experience. I'm just trying to soak up as much information as possible, and that's all you can do.
Hopefully we'll see Hoyer on the big stage again next season, hopefully with some Montana fans in the stadium. Reporting in Missoula, Jack Ginsburg, MTN Sports.
Find more highlights along with in-depth sports coverage anytime at montanasports.com. MTN Sports Extra continues with more coverage from montanasports.com.
Kalispell Flathead fans are well aware of what the Thompson family has done for Brave and Bravette athletics. Jeff Thompson has led the wrestling program to perennially be a power in the Class AA ranks, but his daughter Skyler Thompson, a senior on the Flathead soccer team, has turned into one of the best soccer players in the state over the last few years. And Skyler Thompson is in the midst of another strong run before she ultimately achieves her Division I dream. With 4 goals on Saturday against Butte, Thompson will finish the regular season as the leading goal scorer in the Western AA for the second straight year. Last year, she led the state with 24 goals as a junior. A standout since she started her freshman year, Thompson knew there would be challenges to come as she returned in her final season with those high expectations.
The standards were definitely high, and that's because I kind of set them there for myself along with my coaches as well, which I think is good to have some pressure on you going into things because it kind of holds you to that expectation. It was definitely coming in. I knew it was going to be a challenge, but that also kind of pushed me to work harder.
Once Thompson's career at Flathead closes, she'll head to the Garden City and join the Montana Grizzlies, a program she said felt like lined up with her values of hard work, goal setting, and a family culture. Being the daughter of a coach, Thompson has always led an active lifestyle and didn't need any pushing in athletics. Just ask her dad.
That's who she is. So maybe I really haven't coached her, but I mean, at age 13, she hiked to the Chinese wall on that in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. She's climbed the highest mountain in the Bob Marshall. I mean, she just has been raised around, where exercise is just kind of what we do. And
a former D1 athlete himself, Jeff Thompson knows how challenging that task can be at the next level.
I told her it's a job. Being an athlete at Division I school, University of Montana, it's a job. I mean, you have your 2 workouts a day, your 15 to 18 credits, and your film study. I said, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. This is really something that you want to do. And I mean, she took her trip to U of M and just kind of fell in love with the Grizz.
Seeing that hard work pay off continues to be Skyler's driving force as she tackles that opportunity.
Falling in love with soccer at such a young age and just working hard to feel like the success in something you love so much, it feels great. And I think that you kind of honestly get addicted to that feeling of just being successful with something you love so much.
Flathead head coach Blady Doda said he saw Skyler's potential for the game right away. He named her a captain her sophomore year, and even though there would be pressure on an underclassman earning that honor, Doda knew Thompson could handle it and that her teammates would rally around her.
To me, she was a teammate. She put a team together. That was what brought me. A captain needs to be respected by all the players. And to me, what I saw on her was that the team was behind her. She was an example for the team. Everybody was respecting her and going to her side.
The Class AA soccer season wraps up here in the next few weeks, and you can bet that Thompson will be right there leading Flathead in her final run before ultimately joining the Grizzlies. In Missoula, Kyle Hansen, MTN Sports.
Everyone sets goals in their life, whether those are short-term goals or long-term goals. There's no better feeling than being able to look back and say, I did it, I made it. And that's exactly what Helena Capital's Mattie Moe was able to do at the Helena 7 of 7 cross-country meet on October 8th.
For Moe, cross-country was never the sport she thought she'd end up competing in her senior year. She was drawn to the hardwood and net early in her athletic career.
I played volleyball in the fall, my freshman and sophomore year, and then I was going to do it my junior year, but I got cut.
Now with time winding down on her high school career, Moe got a call from one of her friends and her mom to try something new.
My friend Ellie, her mom's the coach, and so she texted me and was like, I think you should like come try it out so you can stay involved.
Last year, cross country had started, and I knew Mattie. She was a friend of my daughter's, and she got cut her junior year from volleyball, and I sent her a text and said, you should come out for cross country, and she said, oh, okay, I'll try it.
Then Moe's journey began, but it wasn't easy, changing from one sport to another that she knew little about, aside from the fact that she was going to be running and doing a lot of it.
She came out and kept a smile on her face, but every run was a struggle. But over the course of the season, she just continued to improve and improve.
I didn't really like it, but I stuck with it, I guess.
Throughout her junior year, Moe ran with the junior varsity team and wrapped up her season by improving her time by nearly 1.5 minutes. During the offseason, Moe set a goal for herself. She wanted to get better and start in a varsity race this fall.
Over the course of the season, she just continued to improve and improve. And she told me last spring that she wanted to do well in cross country. So she came to every practice in the summer. And it's just incredible to see the work she's put in paying off. And yes, she'll be running varsity for us.
Moe finally got that chance at the Helena 7-of-7 meet, and ahead of the meet, there were a lot of things on her mind. One of them simply just trying to overcome the nerves.
I usually get nervous before races, but I really wanted to make a varsity race this year. Like, that was my goal for the season. So it's like a lot of nerves and excitement, I guess.
Moe finished the meet with a final time of 22 minutes and 59.31 seconds, good for fourth in her flight. And after the race, Moe was elated to know she finally surpassed her goal, and now will have a chance to enjoy the rest of her senior season.
I'm just going to try my hardest and just try to only think positive. Like, just try not to worry about it. I've already met my goal for the season, so I'm just gonna enjoy the last few moments of my senior year of running.
Moe will get a few more opportunities to enjoy that feeling of running in a varsity race. First at the Helena Crosstown meet on October 16th, and then again at the State AA meet on October 26th. Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
Follow Montana Sports on Facebook and join the conversation with fans across the state. We're back with more MTN Sports Extra.
Reese Gleco is the most prolific scorer in Montana high school history. His name is all over the MHSA record books after his time at Highwood and at Belt. But now he's back in his home state in a new role as coach of the Foothills Community Christian School Eagles.
We'll start with this Foothills opportunity. As you said, I mean, you haven't lived in the state of Montana for 10 years. How did this come about, and how excited are you to get going here?
Interestingly, got a call from Coach Freed a little while ago, and I didn't know when he was going to retire. I knew that my wife and I and family had been wanting to move back, and I wanted to stay in coaching. And just the timing of it was great, where Coach Freed was looking to retire, and I'm still looking to coach. So,
you know, I've heard the stories and the rumors and stuff of Reese Gleco in high school. You know, incredible scorer with an attitude. How would you describe yourself as a player and as a student in high school?
Extreme competitor growing up, and maybe my older brother Mason helped with that. He was 3 years older, and those out there that have an older sibling, you're getting beat up on every day and losing every day. You're either going to quit or compete and fight back. And so I think that was a big factor for the competitiveness. And at that time, high school basketball in Montana was, the crowds it was packed gyms, it was full of excitement, and there was just that energy, and played on some very good teams in high school, and people would come out to watch, and just the whole atmosphere, that excitement and emotion and everything fed into my personality and the way I was as a player.
How would you say you've changed the most to today from where you were back as a high school kid?
I hope that the reality of Jesus Christ in my life is what comes out, and what people see is the difference. I know He's the only one that can change a person's heart. So I hope that as people do see that there is a change from those that knew me back then to now, that it was because of what He's done in my life. If you're looking just on the outside as a casual passerby that may have seen me then, I hope there's more of a calmness and more patience and many less outbursts of emotion.
That's just a sampling of the time we had with Gleco. For the full Sunday conversation, visit montanasports.com. That's all the time we have on the show. Thanks for watching. Good night, everyone.